There were friends that only reached out to me if they needed something, they needed some kind of information from me. And then there's the friends that they know I can hire them for work, I can pay them to do a job. And unfortunately, these were the types of friendships that I had quite a bit of, but never developed into something more meaningful.
Welcome back. Today we're gonna watch Joan Quinto, and she's gonna talk about why she doesn't have any friends and no social life whatsoever. Let's see what we can uncover, and let's see if there is some truth in what she's stating. Welcome back once more. Today we're gonna watch Joan Quinto, and she's gonna talk about her struggles with being alone, friendless, and having no social life whatsoever. Let's see how much of this is true.
Well, most people I know have made their plans and are going out on Saturday nights. I'm usually just at home, working on something in front of the computer, or I'm still at work until about 9:30 p.m. Then I go home, make dinner with my husband, then go to bed.
Okay, so that's the first point where I want to interrupt. If you have no social life, if you do not have any friends, what is the husband then? So it's supposed to be your husband, your lifetime partner, your support, your rock, your bestie, right? So that's already one lie that I found out by just watching the first few seconds.
Scroll through the last several months of text messages that I've received. The only people that text me are my husband, some family members, and my coworkers. My brother lives on the other side of town, but I see his dog more often than I see him.
Still having social contact doesn't mean you're a complete shut-in, because total isolation means you have no social contact whatsoever, not even online. So even the fact that you're going outside, even that you're actually interacting with other human beings, besides that you're working from home, the majority of time, you still get to make social contacts, you still make connections, you still get in touch with other human beings.
The older I get, the less people I hear from that actually remember my birthday. Hey everyone, my name is Joan, and today I want to talk about not having a social life and being okay with it. Growing up, I was always surrounded by people. I grew up with a lot of siblings. I grew up with a ton of cousins, being Filipino. If you know, you know. Throughout middle school and high school and college, I always managed to make friends. Then I chose a career in music where naturally I was always surrounded by people, meeting new people, being part of social circles. I was always surrounded by people. Then things changed, especially in 2020, and I'm sure everybody had felt the wrath of 2020 when it came to our social life. People just dissipated from our lives. People just grew distant. We just drifted apart, whether it's family or friends. And I think it took a long time for people to reconnect, bring back the friendships and relationships and social circles that they used to have, except for me. During that time,
Boo-hoo. Oh, poor you. That's so sad. I mean, I think many people lost loved ones. I think that's way worse than just falling out of friendships or having less contact with family members. To me, that's like it's like kind of turning a mosquito into an elephant if it comes to problematics in your own personal and private life. Now, I understand, yeah, things did change, but it also showed the true colors of a lot of people, and it showed a different reality that we all had to wake up to. I'm not going to go into detail, that is for some other moment in time, not now. But, like, again, it can be perceived as a do-over, start-over for a lot of things. If you feel like you fell out with people you would normally stay in contact with, maybe it shows the opportunity when everything is said and done, you know, when time passed by, when everything went back to normal, then you had the opportunity to reach out. Something people don't understand, and most of the time these are narcissists, is people think that the world revolves around them. Blame social media, blame the mainstream, blame Western society, point your finger at whomever. But the point is that if you believe that you're very important and people always have to make the first step to reach out to you because you're so important to be friends with or have a relationship with or have a connection with, you're completely wrong and mistaken. That's not true reality. That's not how it works. You find meaning in a friendship, you be the first one to reach out, not always expecting someone else to do so, because you find yourself the most important part in that friendship or that relationship. And that's something people should come to understand. You know, when you're a kid, when you're growing up and you apply those rules, if you want to live by those rules, if that's the mindset, that's the learning process. But the moment you grow up, the moment you settle down as you are doing in your current situation, this doesn't make any sense anymore. This doesn't add up anymore. That's something you should have already figured out about it, unless you still feel that people owe you something. And that's where we're going off into the wrong direction.
I saw so many people change, either change for the better or change for the worst, or people just showed who they really are and showed the worst side of them. Especially when you're on social media, during that time was very tense. It was very crazy, and it was really sad to see how the people that I knew that I thought were the kindest people were so mean. And it made me want to distance myself from that. With everything that was going on, my husband and I decided to finally leave LA. I never thought I would leave LA. My whole life was there, all my friends were there, my career was there. I never thought I would leave. We moved a little over an hour north from LA to a small town of Ventura. And luckily we did have a couple of friends that had just moved there as well. So it was kind of nice to move into a new town that I never thought I would move to and still have some friends there. During that time, I really didn't make a lot of effort to make more friends if I met anybody and we somewhat connected. Of course, I did my best to keep in touch, get to know them, but I really wasn't going out of my way to spend time with them.
Exactly the point what I was trying to get at prior to this moment. So that's the thing, if you feel like you're privileged, you're special, you're unique for whatever reason, whether it's true or false, most of the time it's delusionalism at its peak, at its finest. Now, if you crave friendships, if you crave attention, if you crave meaningful relationships, but you cannot put in the time and the effort and nothing comes out of it because you didn't do it, why cry later? It doesn't make any sense. That's a mentality, that's something I've come across a lot of times. And sadly enough, in this reality, most likely it's women that actually go through this women that actually, create these type of environments where they're going to be angry, they're going to be upset, they're going to be sad because they're lacking certain meaningful relationships, or they're all alone, or they can't bond with someone, but they seem to forget that the problem and the issue always starts with oneself. If you have a delusional mindset, if you're not really understanding people and their needs from their perspective as an individual equally, and it doesn't matter who they are, but the point is not taking the time and only thinking about your needs and what is essential and what is important to you at the current time and moment, and not getting it and then being angry and then venting on YouTube or just online sharing your frustrations. It's like playing the victim. That's not something that makes you attractive neither as a friend or a partner. And things like that can be fixed. You can solve it. You can resolve these issues. These are actually mental health issues as well. It has to do with your personality. So call it maybe like a personality disorder, at the finest. But the point is, it's fixable, but you have to start somewhere, and that somewhere is within you, is with yourself. Where can you improve upon? What can you adjust? What can you do? And everything else just will change equally as well afterwards. But if you do not take that time, don't expect people to come running to you.
So I kind of kept myself at an arm's distance, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to stay there long enough that I could really cultivate these friendships and relationships. During our time in Ventura, my husband and I were reevaluating our lives, our goals, our careers, our finances, and really trying to figure out where to move from there. And I really had to tell myself that I can't let friends hold me back from doing the things that we want to accomplish together. And so after 2 years of being in Ventura, we decided to make a big move and move out of California altogether. I never thought I would leave California. I lived there most of my life. I have planted my roots in California, but something felt right about leaving my life behind there, including my friends. So my husband and I packed all our things, only took what we needed, got rid of a lot of stuff, and planned our move to Arizona. One of my brothers was actually going through some kind of transition in his life as well. We kind of timed it where we would move to Arizona together. And so far it's been really nice. I still have family nearby, although I hardly see him. And thinking back at how many times I've moved, my social life had basically dwindled down to non-existent. It's been almost 2 years now that I have left my life in California, and I still don't have a social life. And I'm okay with that because I've realized so many things about the kinds of friendships and relationships I've had in the past. And it made me really think about, were all those people really my friends? The first time I left LA, a lot of people didn't even realize I left LA. And then when I left California altogether, there were still a lot of people that didn't realize I had left the state. So it made me realize that people didn't really care about me. I was not on their mind, and that maybe our friendships were not that strong.
That's the point. Just think about it. Is it really that important? Why is it that important? If you already sensed there weren't really true friendships, none of them were really invested to begin with in you as a person, then why even bother? Then it should bother you less knowing that, because then you didn't waste, afterwards you didn't waste as much time. Like, the point with these things is people think that they're surrounded by a lot of people that have communal interests, that where you can socialize with concerning specific topics or events, that defines these people automatic as friends. I think we understand superficial contact and superficial bonding as true friendship. The meaning of true friendship has passed us by a long time ago. These things aren't realistic anymore because of whatever has changed in society. Or people to blame, is culture to blame. It's something you have to decide for yourself. But the point is, meaningful relationships, quality and fulfilling relationships seem to be lacking these days. It's a very common thread. All people seem to experience that. But again, if you realize that these people weren't true friends, it's not a loss. Why is it so important to have people invest in you while you have a loving husband investing in you? And you should actually focus more on strengthening that bond, and everything can flourish and come out of that. You only need one person, one rock, one backbone. You don't need 20, 30 people constantly to fulfill your everyday needs. If it comes to attention and validation, that's typical women, but at the same time, it's also a weakness. If you're reliant on a multitude, then that singletude can never meet up with these expectations. It's both partners helping each other on those levels. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a social life, but everything is a transition by itself. You go from one cycle to another. That's life as well. You cannot be in the same situation like if you were a college student or at high school if it comes to loads and tons of social contacts and friends. Times change, you make different decisions, you go in a different direction, and everything that comes with it is your new life. It defines your new life. Doesn't mean it lacks quality or meaning, means it's different because it changed, because you changed, because you grew, because you progressed.
For them to care what's been going on in my life. Granted, I don't post a lot on social media. A lot of the things I post is me being at home cooking or something, but maybe I made it hard for people to tell where I am, but people really didn't know that I left. So I have been thinking a lot lately about the kinds of friends that I've had. Let me know if you've had any of these types of friends. So I realized that the majority of my friends were in this group of friends. They are the friends you have fun with. They are the friends that you make plans with, you go and do things with, you go check out the bars, you go to shows, you do escape rooms with, you go out to eat with, you spend all kinds of money and time with. But when I think back about the connections that we had, they were really not that deep. A lot of the conversations were super shallow, never really went anywhere. And I can't help but think that that was the majority of the friends that I had most of my life. And then I had the friends of friends. These are the friends that always seem to be in the picture. They tagged along with your friends. They somehow end up in all our group photos on my phone. They follow me on social media. They'll add me on Facebook. But were they really my friends? I would say they were not. When I think about them, they were always there, but they never really made the effort to hang out with me and get to know me just for me. And at the same time, I didn't go out of my way to get to know them and spend time with them. So this group of friends, I definitely had a lot of these people in my life. And although I've casually said that they're my friends and have introduced them as my friends to other people, they really were not my friends. Then the next group of friends that I've had, and I've had several of these, I call them the friends out of convenience. And even though I've been friends with these people for many years, they were the types of friends that only hung out with me when it was convenient for them, if it was what they wanted to do. There were friends that only reached out to me if they needed something, they needed some kind of information from me. And then there's the friends that they know I can hire them for work, I can pay them to do a job. And unfortunately, these were the types of friendships that I had quite a bit of, but never developed into something more meaningful.
The funny thing is that you must have so many friends, like literally a lot of friends, to be able to categorize them all. That's also something I just came to understand with what you were saying. Most people can say, yeah, you have a real friend or you have a fake friend, and you just distinguish it. You can see through it at some point who you should rather invest in and you should just leave, and it's gonna slim down to the point that you can barely count them on one hand. What's not wrong? There's nothing wrong with that. But the fact that she's saying I can say this category and this category and this category, like you got already 3 categories going, and we're not talking about real true friendships, that's not a good sign. That's a red flag.
I'm gonna give you an example of one friend I had in particular, known her for many years, and she was definitely a friend out of convenience. Anytime she would reach out to me and make plans, I was always there, I would always go with her, I would always tag along. But anytime I would reach out to her and make plans, she would commit and then she would flake on me the same day. And that happened for years and years and years. So it got to this breaking point where I realized this friendship is not gonna go anywhere. I remember inviting her over to my place and I told her, hey, I'm gonna make some brunch, we'll go sit in my backyard. I had just got engaged to my husband. She had never met him, and I wanted to make plans for us to spend time together and so she could meet him. Well, she committed to the day, but then instead she tells me, hey, I wanna check out this art show in LA. How about we just meet there? And I was like, okay, I guess. My husband was a little bit annoyed by it, but it was like, okay, whatever, let's just go. So we went to this art show, met up with her, and of course she brought one of her friends, and it just wasn't fun. And at one point, her friend decided that she was hungry and she wants to try this Mexican restaurant in North Hollywood. And so they decided, okay, well, we're gonna go by, and didn't even consider that, hey, I made plans for us to spend time together and now you're gonna go off and do something else. After that, I just started ignoring her. I just stopped responding to her messages. And then I think a year later, she emailed me asking me if I wanted to go on this mission trip to Mexico. And that was the point where I decided to cut her off. I wrote back to her email, told her how I felt, and told her, hey, I wish you all the best, but I don't want to be your friend anymore. The other types of friends that I've had, I call them the energy vampires, the people that just suck the energy out of you anytime you spend time with them. All they do is complain and cry. They complain about their boyfriends, they complain about their lives. And as much as I want to be there for them, when I spend time with them, it's never a good time. All they do is suck my energy. One example of a friend that was exactly that. She was a girlfriend of a friend of mine, and although for the most part she kind of just ignored me, and maybe we would have small talk in passing, she always kind of just ignored me. And then when she saw that I had just ended a relationship I had at the time, suddenly she wanted to be there for me. After a few times we hung out, all of a sudden it became about her. Every time I spent time with her, she was crying, she was complaining, she was so negative, and there was really nothing I could do to help her feel better as much as I wanted to. And I think the reason why she spent so much time with me is because for the most part, I would just listen and not really say anything.
That's called emotional dumping. That's something mainly women do, but that's something that happens a lot. And they will always pick the weaker vessel. They're always going to pick the weaker one out of the lot. It's something you already can notice in primary school and high school, you will always see groups of girls, and that's what they would do. They would always pick the weaker one, and they're gonna use them as a. It's kind of like the tag along, with the show with Chris Hansen in, the guy, the tag along. It's kind of that type of person. It's like the Robin to Batman. They're there and they're part of the clique or the posse, but they're basically just like a wallflower. They exist, but they don't exist. They only exist because of you. So they have to carry your backpack. They have to carry your books. They have to, be your footstool. All of that stuff, and they tolerate it just for the sake of being able to socialize and to mingle and have friendships or bonds or whatever. It's like people that actually lack identity and character. And like I said, it's not their fault in the sense of if you're forming as a young adult, but in a point of time, you gotta figure it out that these people that do that to other people, they're never gonna change. It's part of their nature. But the people that go through it in their learning process as human beings, they have the opportunity to change and see it and call it out for what it is. That's the point of the learning process. Now, to get back to it, if you encounter a person like that just constantly gonna emotionally dump upon you, then how can you ever call that, if you're sane, a healthy relationship? It's not any type of relationship or friendship. It's not. These things like people leeching off you, people emotionally dumping, these are not friendships. These are not meaningful relationships. These are people that are desperate, people that don't have they don't have anything going on in their lives, and the only thing they can do is cling on to you or make you drown in equal measures in their sorrows, in their misery. And yeah, misery loves company, and that's kind of an example. These are the most negative people you can come across, and the people that leaves the most ruin in your life if you let them do their thing.
I would not judge her, and I would just listen and acknowledge the stuff she said. So anytime we've made plans to hang out, I was always hoping it would be a different experience, but it was not. We would go and try this new restaurant in town. We would sit there, and then she's crying. And it got to this certain point where I realized I need to end this friendship now. She had just gotten into a fight with her boyfriend, and apparently he was gonna have a show that she wanted to attend. At the same time, I had told her, hey, I'm gonna go visit my parents this weekend, so I can't hang out with you. Conveniently enough, her boyfriend's show was actually close to where my parents lived. And I remember her calling me, asking me what I was up to, and basically manipulated me to get my parents to babysit her son so that she and I can go to her boyfriend's show. My parents, of course, they love kids and they were happy to watch him. I thought that was so inappropriate. I thought that was asking too much, and I felt really stupid sticking her son with my parents whom she had never even met. So she drops off her kid at my parents' house, drags me to go watch her boyfriend's show, and then the whole time we were at that show, she was crying. So after that, I started distancing myself from her. I started to kind of push her away. She got upset. She writes this long text about me flaking out on her, because I never flake out on her. And I wrote back that, you're a drama queen. I don't want to hang out. A few months went by. She reached out again, trying to reconcile our friendship. But at that point, I told her, I don't want to be friends anymore. And lastly, there are a small group of friends that I call the deep connections. The people that whenever I spend time with them, I feel a deep connection. We can have deep conversations. We inspire each other. We motivate each other. We feel encouraged around each other. And I have very few of these people in my life. And these are the types of friends that no matter if I haven't seen them for a long time, I haven't heard from them in a long time, and no matter how far we live from each other, we somehow still stay connected. I have a hard time letting go of these people, and these few people I can imagine always being in my life.
Just sums it up. It's fake friends, toxic friendships, and true meaningful friendships. It's just these three. Why 6 categories if I'm counting right? That's so many. That means you get thousands of friends or what? They're going from a very social life to no social life. and the understanding that the majority of people who came across were just basically fakers.
These are the type of people that have always accepted me no matter what I went through with my life. And when I do get in touch with them, and if I do finally get to see them again, it always feels like we just pick up right from where we left off. These are the types of friends that I hope to encounter more of, and I'm okay with waiting for those types of friendships.
Okay, that's something people have to understand. It's quality above quantity, right? It's with all things in life, with at least with the majority of things in life, quality more above quantity. So why want more meaningful friendships, for example, if you already have one or two? You don't need 20 meaningful friendships. Why more? That's something I never understood about people. Either you better be by yourself if you can't deal with people and be happy, in solitude, or you form a good meaning partnership where you don't need tons and tons of friendships because you've got a good partner, and then eventually start a family. Or you have meaningful friendships for life, but no need to constantly socialize with strangers and make fake friends. It's easy. Try to find yourself in these categories. This is more realistic. It's mixing everything and trying to create some type of a side effect because of your mixing it up. It's actually totally wrong. It goes against certain principles
to come across my way. I would like to have friends that I can talk about the things that I'm going through right now, the things that I'm interested in right now. Things like spiritual growth, self-development, finances and business and budgeting. I would like to have friends I could talk about health with. I think what life is teaching me right now is that I need to discover who I really am, express myself for who I really am, so I can attract these kinds of friendships that are aligned with my values, what's important to me, and will always accept me no matter where I am in my journey. There has been advantages and benefits for me having moved to a state where I hardly know anyone. I definitely feel like I could be myself. People get to know me for who I am right now and not have an idea of who I was back then. I know that I've changed, and I know I'm still developing as a person. There is a sense of freedom and liberation that I have right now, knowing that I'm not trying to be the person who my friends thought I was. I can be myself as I am now, and it doesn't matter because I don't have my old friends judging me for having changed. Thank you for listening. I still believe in friendships. I still believe in having a community, but I also believe that everybody goes through different phases in their life that maybe friends just don't fit in at that moment. And it's okay. It's okay to be alone sometimes. It's okay to be on your own. And then the right people will somehow end up in our lives the more we focus on ourselves. Thank you again so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was basically it. Well, it's very interesting how she ended it. It's kind of like sharing a life experience and being all mindful and thoughtful about it, and relaying that in a video format message, in a vlog. So what we can pick up, what we can learn from this is basically, if you cannot form any meaningful bonds, whether you're in a full-time relationship or not, that doesn't mean that you're lacking a social life. It's not because you move away and you're having to start all over again that you're not going to be able to socialize with people. I mean, I think people put too much pressure on themselves when it comes to that because of expectations, companionship, social media. These things make people feel like if they don't keep up with, I have to have so many followers, so many friends. It warps the mind. It actually pollutes the mind. Okay, before you leave, I just want to thank everybody who subscribed. It really means a lot that people want to support the channel and people want to get to dive more deeper into sociology, psychology if it comes to modern dating, relationships, and where men stand in general and what the better alternative might be. If you want to continue supporting, feel free to subscribe, like, and comment. Every comment will be read, every comment will be responded to, and I appreciate it once more. Thank you.